What's the Not Your Finest Hour podcast? What is that all? I mean, I've heard stories.
Not Our Finest Hour podcast. I'll have to check out one of these days when I get a minute to listen to it. I've been told it's not for everyone. Just the general reviews I hear on it. It has been getting really good reviews.
And I've never personally listened to it, but I have heard it's not for everyone.
I listened to the Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Just great podcast. I've really enjoyed that.
I'm not endorsing anything, but what Caleb told me, he said, don't endorse anything unless you listen to it first.
I do once in a while listen in, and it's a lot of fun, but I do got to be careful. It is not for everyone.
Caleb Allman is always dropping nugs that it's one of the most value-added shows out there.
Of course, through all the Not Our Finest Hour, you guys poking fun at so much different stuff is absolutely killer.
I don't feel any oppression tonight. In fact, I feel very free. Not Our Finest Hour podcast. Thanks for being here.
I'm Interlock Ian, and I wouldn't fucking miss a Not Our Finest Hour podcast for nothing.
Welcome to the beginning of the Tuesday recorded podcast. It's supposed to rain a lot here.
Oh, is it?
Even some snow in the forecast.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain a shit ton.
We have no rain until Monday.
Oh, it's supposed to rain Friday, I think, here.
Sunny on Friday for us.
We got 2 days of snow next week.
Yeah, this season isn't starting off great.
No. It was nice. We were in like the teens for a couple of days last week, and then now all of a sudden we're almost at zero.
Yeah, we're at 0, minus degrees. It's not going to help half loads come off, that's for sure.
I would agree with you. It's not going to help half loads come. Well, the rain will get the frost out of the ground, I guess. Would be a potential positive way to look at it, maybe.
If you have nights in the negatives, though, MTO is not going to like that for taking half loads off.
I don't think it's MTO that decides, though. I think it's the townships. I don't disagree with you that they won't like it, but I'm pretty sure it's the townships that.
I thought it was MTO. Like, I remember years past, whenever we'd be on a construction site, they'd just be like waiting. When are half loads coming off? And then someone would make an announcement. MTO said they're coming off Friday, and then you could hear the trucks fire up, and everybody was getting excited and like, yeah, we can do some actual work. So,
maybe you're right. Maybe it is MTO is in charge of it. I don't know. Around here, it's all town guys who switch the signs. Like it's all
gotta be MTO guys. They're in charge of everything when it comes to the roads.
I agree that it could be MTO. I just thought it was like for us where we live, if you want to check the half load roads, what roads are half loads and what roads aren't half loads, you check the Durham Region website. And if I was going to Peel, I would check the Peel Region website, and that's where I would get the information. So I don't know if they're in charge of it then, but like if I went to an MTO website, maybe it would tell me. Whenever I need to know, I always check from the municipality website where we're going.
Do you want to know how we know which roads are MTO roads or half load roads? We call an old time trucker and say, "Hey, am I good to go down this road with the load?" And you're like, "Yeah, you go down that road," or he'll give you another route.
See, I don't have those options, so I use the.
You are the old time guy. You should know it all by now.
There was a guy this week was like Monday, I guess yesterday. He was like, he said, "Oh, there's no half loads on this road." I'm like, "No, there's half loads. When you turn off Highway 2, I guarantee there's a sign." And he was like, "No, there's no half loads." I'm like, "I'm telling you, there's a fucking sign there. I haven't been there in 2 years." And he drove down the street and was like, "Yeah, you're right. There's a fucking sign there." It's like, I told you, man. Pickering and Whitby and Ajax are a shit show for half loads.
Yikes. We are not on a half load road, but we're very close to one. So we were getting gravel last year for my driveway, and it was spring, and they had put half loads on. Shane gets in the tandem, goes to the quarry, once he left the quarry, he took a left instead of a right. And then on his next trip in, they said, "You went left. That's not a half, or that's a half load road. You can't go down that road." He goes, "I'm just around the corner." He's like, "We can't fill you if you're going to go in that direction leaving here. So you got to go north instead of going south." He's like, "Oh, okay, fine." Oh, he had to
Oh,
ride dirty just a little bit.
does any liability fall on them, the quarry?
I must, or
Yeah,
else they
unless
would.
they wouldn't have said
I
anything.
if they overload the trucks, it's like I don't know about that. The quarry is responsible for if a truck tears out too heavy, they can be held responsible. So if
Okay.
your truck's good for like 22.7 and it tears out at 23.5 and they release it from the quarry, like they tear it out like that, they're responsible. They can be held responsible if there's an accident.
Hmm.
That's why they're usually really anal about the trucks being, but whether the truck turns left and goes on a half load road, I don't know where their responsibility lies with that. If they're shutting it down, I'm going to guess it must lie somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not a big deal. It's we still got finished doing what we needed to do. So no harm and a couple extra loads down the road in half load season. But like at that same quarry, people will go with like a single axle flat deck trailer on the back of their Ford Explorer or something, right? And the quarry will still give them some material. So like I don't think they should be allowed at all to be loaded at the quarry. But my local quarry will do it.
Hmm.
Because we don't have like gravel retailers and stuff like you guys have. Like
Uh,
you're straight to source.
your stone supply doesn't stock any gravel?
Yeah, yeah, you can get a yard of 5/8 or whatever,
Yeah.
or a yard of stone dust or whatever for $30, $35 or whatever it is. But you can also take your Ford Explorer and go to the quarry and get it for $12,
Hmm.
you know. So
Hmm.
And everything's so close where you live, it when there would be nothing advantageous about buying it from the supplier.
yeah, unless you don't want to wait behind all the big trucks to get loaded at the quarry. That's sometimes a problem.
Yeah, that would be like for us, the quarries are generally far and they won't load small trucks.
Would they load like a 550?
No,
What's the smallest truck they'd load? Like heavy
they,
single?
I don't know if they would load our bin trucks.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think they generally want to load things that are max weight, like 20 ton. Like it's just not worth the time for the
Like one
loader.
bucket, like 5 tons at a time?
Well, I think it's the loaders are, I don't know what they're probably putting 10, 12 tons in at a time.
Wow.
Like the buckets are as long as the trucks. Like they're 20 feet wide, the buckets.
Probably a little bigger than what we have here. I
So
think
I
they're 5 tons a time, 5 or 6 tons per scoop.
maybe they are. I haven't been to the quarry in a really, really long time. So maybe that's what I don't, I'd have to ask Christy or Andrew.
They'll give us 3 scoops in a tandem about, and
Yeah,
then
it's 15
whenever you
ton.
take like a 550, they'll just take the corner of their bucket,
It's like a
drop it.
5 ton or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But and then you always ask. You're like waving at the guy out the window and you're like putting up 4 fingers or 3 fingers and the sun's fucking blaring behind you. So you don't know if he can tell or not. So you just feel the truck sag behind you and you're like, yeah, it feels like 3 tons. You're like, oh, or shit, this feels lower than before. You feel your
Yeah.
ass dragging on the ground. You're like, oh, this is a heavy one. But then there's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do? Dump it and say, try again?
Right.
He's going to go load some,
Uh,
then you're going to wait there.
they make you dump off at like if you're overweight at the pit, they'll take you off the scale and make you go dump off.
Hmm.
They've never done that here. The girl is like a giant. I mean, she's super nice to me, but everybody else thinks she's a big witch. Like, she's a rough looking woman. Forget her name. I better learn it again. The season's coming up.
Better figure that shit out,
Sometimes
man.
I have to call her and schmooze her if I need a truck. So like I'm extra polite, like super nice to her. Jesus, what's her name? She's only got one tooth in the front. Fuck.
And chewing on some gravel.
I don't know. Must be. Super nice to me though, but everyone's oh, she's such a bitch. I don't know. I get on fine with her.
I got a cold call today from a bin company offering a membership for their bin rental service.
Wow.
A membership.
Yeah, it's a PK Prime membership, they called it.
How did that work?
$100 a month, you get $50 off unlimited bins.
Seems like a deal.
So $100 a month, and if you spend more than $2,000, they refund you your $100. So $2,000 a month, you get your $100 back and $50
How
off the
much?
bin.
So how much are the bins?
They were like, I don't know, I can't remember. 7-yarder was 400.
Oh my God.
They're expensive because then they also have a fuel recovery fee on top of that, and then I don't even know if that's the clean fill or the fill bin. I think that might just be regular garbage bin. They're very expensive. So that's how they can offer $50 off for $100 a month.
Who sells
You signed up?
is the only advantage the only advantage is that you get a $50 off per bin?
Yeah, that's the only advantage. There's the Pro plan, and then the Pro Plus plan is if you spend more than $2,000 a month, they give you your money back. Are you planning a PK Prime
No.
membership? No?
That seems like a lot for me to keep. I struggle to keep track of what I have going on now.
Stamps for a free bin? Buy 10, get one free?
Punch a card.
Yeah.
Get your card punched by Cody. Like, no.
I can
good.
see the validity to it, right? Like after two
Why,
bins, it's paid for, as long as there's no other guys that are
but
doing
why
cheaper
would they
bins.
bother with I guess they're trying to create loyalty, but I'm like, why would
Yeah.
they fucking bother with it? Like,
Well, you have
it seems like a shit ton of stuff to track. And you're gonna get all these people who are like, I spent $1,999 and I want my $100 back. I was so close, man. I was so close. It just seems like there's potential bitterness and anger in all of this. This doesn't seem like something I would want to do.
maybe if you're really on top of your books, though. Like if you think about it, in the landscape season, that could be $900 of revenue without doing anything, right? Per client, right? $100
Except
a
that
month, 9 months.
except that when they spend 2,000, I took $50 a bin off, plus I'm giving them back their $100.
Yeah, I don't know.
How much were the bins, Mike? 400?
400 for a 7-yarder.
What are the options?
714 is 500. 20 is 600. Oh, here we go. 7-yard concrete clean fill is 445. So they only do 7-yarders for concrete and clean fill.
So how much is it?
445.
445. So you got to get 5 bins a month. And then those bins are 225. That would bring you to 2,225 minus $250 for the 5 bins, minus the $100 you would get back. Well, really, you don't get the $100 back because you already spent the $100, so it didn't come off the top. So hold on, it's how much was it? 445 times 5 puts you over $2,000 plus 100 for the bin thing so that would be your total would be 202,325 minus 250 for your $50 savings minus the 100. You're at 1975 divided by 5. So the bins are 395 if you do all that. So you're getting the bins for 400.
Yeah. Oh, plus they have 11% to 31% of tonnage fees on top of that.
Including on a fill bin?
Yeah.
Holy fuck. So how much is it? They're saying it's 31% tonnage fee on a fill bin?
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
I don't know because I can't quite figure that out. That's where I just stopped reading the email because I've never been charged a tonnage fee on top of a bin rate.
For a fill bin. You get
Yeah.
charged a tonnage fee for garbage.
Oh, do you?
A lot of places it's like 150 to put the bin down. You fill it with garbage, it's 150 to pick the bin up, plus then they charge so much per ton for the garbage.
Gotcha.
Like say they might charge 125 a ton for garbage.
Yeah,
So
they have that on the concrete bin there too.
they're charging you 31% for concrete?
Yeah.
31% of the rate of the bin? Doesn't 31% seem like a really weird fucking number to pick?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you pick like 30%?
Actually, it's even worse. 30.95%. They just rounded it up to 31% in the email.
So they're charging you 30% of the bin cost. Is that what they're saying?
Or whatever the dump rate is. I don't know. I have no idea. I couldn't figure that part out, so I stopped reading the email.
So you're not jumping on their service?
No, I will not be buying a membership. I'll be waiting for the PK Prime membership to come out.
To Kitchener? That's a long time. That's going to be a long fucking wait. I think we'll all be dead by the time that fucking happens. I don't think there'll be any PK Prime membership to Kitchener. I just feel like it seems like a lot of stuff to track, like way more than I would want to track personally. I don't know.
They
That
probably
seemed
have
like
a
something.
software.
Probably. That must be great for them. So I have a great story. So we're starting this residential job, and we were supposed to do it last fall, but then I called it off. Said we do it in the spring. It made no difference to the homeowner. So um, I decided to get out the files and start taking a deep dive and order all the materials and really get the season into full swing. And then can't find the fucking file. I'm like, huh. So I'm searching all over the office, and then sometime around Christmas, I think, or maybe in January, I just was in the office and was like, I'm tired of all this shit being everywhere. So I emptied every file folder and threw away everything, including the file for that job. So now I have absolutely zero information about that job except the quote. I don't have any of the back story, any of like how I was going to quote it, any of the fucking. And I was like, this could be a great advertisement for having a software. But then I was like, well, my hard drive could get deleted and I could lose it too. So whatever.
Is that an Nancy Green job? Like, would she have any of this anywhere?
She has
Or
the drawing, and she has some information, but um not like she didn't do the math. Like, all my math is gone. So now I'm just stuck with a bulk price. And I'm like, guess we'll roll the dice on this bitch and see if we make any money, because I have no idea if this.
how many times
It's
have you done it before with your math gone? Like, I don't have a single job on the board where I know the math of that job. I just know what we quoted it at, and this is what we're gonna go and fucking hit it hard and do it.
I usually how I broke it down, and because I just like to see it. I like to know. And now I'm
But
just
does
like,
it matter? Because you already sold the job for the price that it is.
it matters to me because I like to know if I should have sold it for more, or if we're not make it matters to me. I just
We'll sort it out at the end. You can't do anything during to change it.
know, but I can know while we're going, saying, oh, we spent an extra day on that. Or I also like to know, like, because a lot of times I do things like if Nancy has 650 square feet on the drawing, but I know I'm going to square things off, which means I'm more than likely going to use up extra square footage because I'm not going to cut it exact. I'm going to take it to the,
Yeah,
if it's a square patio, I'm going to take it to the full stone, right? Well,
correct.
oftentimes when you're doing that, you're using up square footage you didn't allow for,
Yep.
right?
But you're
Because
gonna do it anyway, is what
it's
I'm saying.
always going to, well, because you're saving the cutting. So the argument is I'm paying for the square footage, but I'm saving the cutting. So I I get it, but a lot of times if I look at a design, I'll allow an extra 75 square feet depending on the size of the job. Oh, this is my daughter, so I have to answer it. You guys go about your business. Talk about something else
I'll
till I
mute
come
you.
back.
Okay, he's muted.
What would you do in that situation, Mike? Or it's all
I
written down?
I've done that
What
in
do
the
you do?
past, but now I've got a software that helps with that. I'm like
Oh,
PK though too, where I like to see where I went right and wrong during the process and in the estimating.
during? Does that not stress you out to know during?
If it's a longer job, yeah, for sure. But I'd rather know than not know and just
But
be,
it's got to be done anyway, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, for sure. You don't do any tracking during the job. Well,
Fuck
we already
no,
know you don't do any job costing, so.
no. Mm. My job costing is I look at the bank account at the end of the year. Like, yeah, it's better than it was last year.
So you've never tracked anything? Like when you've quoted something, you've and then been in the field and been like, okay, I
No,
quoted a day for this part and this is taking me more? Nothing.
no,
Wow.
no, never, never once. I mean, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm either really good or I'm fucking lucky, and
I
I
don't,
can't tell which one it is yet.
but you also came from that
Even
install background, right? So you kind of had an idea of how long things should take you.
yeah, here's the thing: how long things should take me, and
Yeah,
I'm no longer the one doing it,
right.
right?
Oh yeah, right.
So that's a
D-
whole other wrench
So when
in the
you quote a residential, not commercial, and you started doing that with your guys, did you know did you add more hours to quote a job? Or did you always go off of like a unit rate whenever you're quoting something?
no, geez. I'll cross check with the unit rate
Yeah,
to
okay.
make sure we're in the right area, right? But now I think of which crew I want to put on the job and how fast they work and how long something should take them and just bid it off my head like that.
Do you have like guys that you trust with residential more than you trust with commercial?
Nope,
No?
not really.
You'll put
It's
anyone on it?
I'll put anyone on it that I think can do the job. And I
Mm,
mean, worst thing that can happen is I have to spend a day there to help, right?
yeah.
Like we're not, knock on wood, we're not going to go bankrupt putting in a 20 by 20 patio,
Yeah.
you know. Um, if I have to screed base or lay pavers or whatever for a couple hours, so what? My labor is worthless
Yeah.
sometimes. I mean,
So when you quoted that like Roca stepping stone one with the big slabs in the backyard, did you quote that knowing that you were going to be on that job?
I didn't quote that one at all. That was a T&M
Oh,
because the client was very particular
yeah,
and I
yeah.
knew things had to change. And we were 2 hours, both 2 hours each way from town. And yeah, that one was a T&M job,
Hmm.
which I don't necessarily think I would do a lot of T&M for clients that weren't like really particular or clients that I knew, right? Like, I wouldn't just show up at someone's house and say, "Oh, we'll do this one T&M," because I think that's a great way to lose, especially because we're so efficient.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you can make the numbers for anything work, but um, how can you tell a client, "Oh yeah, well, it's $300 an hour for me and the excavator
Yeah,
now
exactly.
to make things work," right? They'll do a backflip. They're not going to accept that rate. But
So how did you get that one? That guy to accept your rate?
he used to own a monster auto parts um, retailer, I
Mm,
guess, and we were brought on through a general contractor that we work with a lot, and we've done smaller jobs for the guy in the past, and he trusts us and stuff. But I'm not out to milk it and try and get rich, right? Like we don't want to be out there any longer than we have to. we ended up spending just about 2 seasons out there, right? Like nobody wanted to be 2 hours away from home every single day, back and forth for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever we were
Yeah.
gone for, right? Like there was no, we had other places to be too, right? So
Yeah.
it's another thing. Whenever you're doing T&M work, uh, you want to make your money, but you also have other places to go where you can make possibly more money with unit rates and set bid prices and all that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
it's I don't know, we get through them all differently. Um, but we still got our head above water. So
That's good.
so I don't know. It's gonna be good.
Are you getting
It's
leads coming in?
I have some. We landed one today, just a little raised patio. And for a while I was worried. Like I didn't think our nothing was sticking. Like none of our prices were landing. We weren't getting anything. I'm like, holy shit. It's gonna be one of those years. Like, is it me or are people afraid right now?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about them, just like you gotta stick to your prices. You can't start dropping your pants just to try and land the work because then you're working for nothing. So
The brochure story that you posted, did was that somebody who didn't go with you, or was that somebody that went with you and wanted to
no,
give it
like
back?
you've never had that happen
Oh
to you
yeah, all
where
the time.
clients want to give back your catalog?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they just want to see you again or what, but they think the catalog is like the Bible or something. They want to give it back. You have to give this. It's so nice. You have to give it to the next person. Well, I have boxes of these things. Like it takes up a seat in my truck,
Yeah.
the catalogs. So no, I've had a lot of people say, "Come and get your catalog," or
Yeah. I've had that
what do you?
too.
It's wild, but I don't know. I've never once collected a catalog from
No,
a
me
client.
neither. Do you have stickers that you put on them for your card, or do you just stick your card on it?
I don't even stick my card on it half the time.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, I'm not an aggressive salesman at all. Like I'm
same.
probably the least aggressive sales guy there is. I'm not sure if that's cost me a lot of work. You think it's lost you jobs, or do you think it's gained you jobs? Like,
It's probably like a wash. I'm sure I could have
yeah,
gotten more jobs if I was more aggressive, but then it's like if you're like super aggressive, people sign up with you just because you're aggressive. Maybe it's not
they're
the right client
passive.
to work for, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it
Yeah.
wasn't something that they even wanted and they just decided, I don't know.
Could you imagine?
I don't know that you can be like super aggressive in our industry personally.
Well, for a while they were pushing being aggressive, closing the deal.
Yeah.
I remember going to a showcase, they're like, get the signature there,
Yeah,
close
yeah.
the deal. And I'm just like, this is not me. Maybe I'm not meant for this industry. I can't do that.
I don't like it at all.
I
Uh,
don't, if they're already having a hard time making a decision and you're being pushy, how is that good for the relationship at all? When it comes time to build stuff and make changes and you're trying to have an open dialogue and be agreeable with people and like that, they're not conducive to me. Or maybe that's when the salesperson steps out, and the installer steps in to clean up the mess or the clean up the fire that the salesperson started, you know. I don't know.
if I was hurting for work, I might be like a little bit more aggressive with follow-ups, but it's not really been the case, knock on wood. But um, yeah, I just don't like getting off on that foot with somebody to have them. I would ask for a signature, but if it went beyond like, hey, we need to think about it, like that's fine. Go ahead and think about it. I'm not going to
Hmm.
push back on, no, you need to sign this right now. Like
You
it's
have to sign this right now or I'm not leaving. Like,
yeah, exactly.
where does that mentality come? That seems like a pool guy thing to do.
It's like a used car salesperson thing. Would you have you I've only ever been in one of my clients' houses. That's it.
I've been in a couple. I prefer not to. They want to sit
Same.
you down at the kitchen table and stuff like that. It's like,
Yeah.
let's not. Let's not.
But I
We're
usually
working outside. Let's
exactly.
uh let's
I'm
stay outside.
I'm usually doing it like after like I've been working all day. I don't want to be in your house like all usually somewhat sweaty and I've got my work boots
Yeah.
on and like I
Yeah,
don't
like
want to
I don't
do
know if
that.
my feet stink or not,
My
and
feet
like
definitely stink.
yeah. And you're asking, they're like, "Oh, leave your shoes on." And you're like, "Fuck, I'm all muddy." No,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine. I want to be outside for this conversation. Let's sit on the swing or something if we have to sit, but I don't want to be at your dinner table. Your dog sniffing my leg,
Yeah.
your cat sitting on my lap. I don't want a piece of toast or something, like it's all shit that I've gone through. And yeah, I can't get behind being inside
Yeah,
at a
same here.
client's place, especially when they argue with each other. There's no out whenever they start arguing with each other and you're
Trapped in
right
their
there at the
house.
table with them.
At least so you
Uh,
can if you're in their backyard, you can pretend to measure something at the back of the yard
yeah,
and
yeah, you can like, oh, well, I got to check the Eve situation over here, and let them
yeah.
cool down or whatever. But it's tough being in the house, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. If that could be what do we call it? SOP?
Standard
It's
operating
no going
procedure.
in the house. So my guys aren't allowed in the house anyway. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's unwritten, but no landscapers in the house.
Yeah.
There's no reason. Like
I've
not the
always told
gas
my guys
check.
that too. Like when the client says, "Hey, feel free to use our bathroom or the fridge.
No,
Go get something out of the fridge if you need it." No, it's,
no.
"Hey, thank you." And then when they leave, it's like, "Yeah, you never go in their house."
Thank you, but we stay up. You're solving a giant problem before it happens by
Exactly.
staying outside, right?
Yeah.
Lock the door. Don't even tell me, oh, the door's unlocked. I don't want to know. I don't care if your door's unlocked. Lock it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
prefer it's locked. I
Yeah.
trust the guys, but we can put out this whole fire right now.
Yeah. All it takes is for them to think that something's missing when they misplaced it and
Yeah,
blame it on you. Like I don't need that headache.
we don't need that. They look rough enough, the guys. Just because they look rough doesn't mean they're thieves, but it's I don't know. So we're staying out of houses. We're easy on sales, I guess. I don't know why people hire us. I don't know.
Do you have all your guys coming back that you need?
Yeah, I think we're missing one who was only with us for a couple months last year. Um, we're taking back a guy who uh, was only with us for like a couple weeks years ago. See, he seemed excited to come back, so we're gonna give him another shot. He had some stuff going on last time, so
Nice.
better the devil you know, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
You trying to hire somebody else too?
Depending on the workload, we may take 3 or 4 or 5, depending on what we've got. What about you? Do you have a
My guy
crew this year?
My guy from last year's coming back. He's excited.
Nice.
And then I've
Yeah.
got a guy that reached out to me that's been watching my YouTube videos. He did a job at his house and he wants to come work for me.
Is he like a second career guy, or is he like young enough
I didn't
that
get into that. He's younger. Yeah. He's a younger guy. So
does
hopefully
that ever scare you? Like, is he ever like, I want to learn from you so I can do my own thing one day?
oh, I
Or,
asked him. Yeah. And I'm totally fine with that, to be honest.
well, I mean, you can't fault the guy.
Yeah. No, I
But
asked him like what I'm trying to do is be able to have like the landscaping business as well as the digital side of things that if somebody did want to move careers like we've got you can work in the software or you can work like
well,
sales or digital content creation so we got like multiple career paths for you and I asked him straight up is this something that you're trying to make a career out of or are you trying to learn to be able to start your own business because I'll help you either way I just want to know how I can best
love
help you
that. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he said it's a possibility that I'd want to start my own business. And then I brought up like what we're trying to do with how to hardscape and there's other paths that he can go. And he's like, yeah, I'm really into videos and stuff. So yeah,
That's
he's got a different career path if he wants it there too.
good. I love that. I got a guy, Josh. He's like a video game streamer. They do that
Oh yeah,
streaming thing, and I guess he's getting really good at it. Like he's
nice.
got a social media following and all this stuff, and he wants to help with like our promo videos and stuff like
Sweet.
that. And yeah, like fuck yeah, Josh, you can run that. The only problem is Josh is a phenomenal worker.
Oh yeah?
Like he's a workhorse, right? So
Yeah.
you almost feel bad taking him off the rake or whatever it is and putting him behind a camera because he's so good at um, doing the labor part of everything, and he's
Right.
agreeable when like there's not a bad thing to say about the guy, right?
Would
And
your
I'm sure.
guys would your
Go ahead.
guys get pissed if you put him on like part-time content creation when he's out in the field or something like that? Where he's
No,
like working and then he gets on the camera for a bit and drops the production on that? Or
I
would you
don't think
guys see the sort of larger
we,
picture?
we have concessions for all the guys, right?
Okay.
Like we're unconventional. That's why we can't have things like SOPs because everybody has concessions, right?
Right.
Like Scott can't eat at a normal time. He has to take a break whenever and go have a sandwich whenever he's feeling shaky or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and well, Gord is old and he can't do some stuff that the other guys can do, or he's not as good at it. He can't run the machines. Like there's different concessions for all the guys, and for the most part, everybody's understanding of that. So,
When your workers get mad at each other, does it have to do with those concessions at all?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they don't need an excuse to get mad at each other. That's for the most part, they're good, but there's some abrasiveness. I don't think it's any big things. I think the little stuff, the nagging, is worse than any one big thing. Like no one's mad. Oh, you walked on the base or something, right? But they'll say things to each other and pick at each other, and that just festers, and that's worse than any mistakes that they make on the job.
Mm,
Like no one's like, oh, you graded that wall wrong or whatever. Fuck you, and then fists are flying or something like that. It's
yeah.
like some guy wasn't having a good morning when they started and now it's getting worse and oh they're dragging their arse because they're in a bad mood or he was up late playing video games so he's tired today and then they just pick at each other like that. Fuck guys. We got to get through the day. We got things to do. I don't know what our production rates are, so you have to move. I don't know if we're making any money here. You got to get to work so that we're making money. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for this year.
Would you ever hire somebody that told you that they wanted to start their own business? They were
Um,
specifically coming to you to get the experience and then would go out and start their own business?
I don't know. It's one thing to be motivated, but it's another thing to be motivated at my expense. Like, I don't, it's hard to start your own business.
Yeah.
So, and what's the evolution like, right? Like, you're not coming in for me to teach you for a year and then you leaving and thinking you can do everything that I took 20 years for me to learn how to do. So you're misleading yourself if you think you can come into the industry and learn everything that you need in 1 year or 5 years or whatever. And then on top of that, you got to be a business person,
Yeah.
right? Because there's X number of landscapers who came in to the business world thinking, well, the next logical step is for me to run a business when it's not. Like I know tons of guys who've gone tits up because they couldn't put away their tax money or something, like it's so um maybe I would hire them under the understanding that they got a lot to learn. Like I gotta have them for like 5 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't take ownership of a person, right? So you can't say, well, you got to stick around for 5 years,
Yeah.
you know? But um,
But there's always that chance that they do stick with you, that they realize that they don't want a business when they see what
yeah,
you go through too.
well, they tend to see things through rose-colored glasses, I think, especially with me living at the yard and
Yeah.
having a big house on the hill where that they're helping pay for, right? So if Chad can do it, anybody can do it, right? Like, what's so special about him? And honestly, I don't know if there is anything really special about me other than I try and do everything as good and as fast as I can so that we can get to the next one and try and treat people as good as I can along the way. Um, but apparently that's hard. Not everybody can do that, I guess. There's tons of businesses that have gone tits up,
Yeah.
right? So
I just interviewed somebody who's been in business for 30 years, like on the How to RSK podcast. And he's had multiple people like leave and he helps them and he uses them as subcontractors from that point
yeah,
on.
I
And
could
I
see
always
that.
thought that that's a really good idea
Yeah, I could do that.
because they've been
Um,
trained under your system. They install like you do, and then it's you can trust them to do your work basically.
Here's why that might work for me because if I'm grounded commercially with work, um, I wouldn't necessarily think a startup business would come after my commercial work,
Mm,
right? So I used to, whenever I was new in the industry, I thought every job is my job, right? So I would go after everything, the big, the little, lift and relay, I didn't give a shit, right? 10 years in, uh, everything was still my job to lose. It's only after 14 or 15 years now that I don't have to have all the jobs. I can still get pissed off at some guys for coming in and taking jobs that I don't necessarily think they should get or have, or they burn my arse because I'm quoting the same jobs as them and they're like half the price or something like that. And I think that's part of an old guy mentality too.
mm.
Like, as I remember sitting in the truck with my old boss, and he'd be like, "That fucking idiot took my job for half the price," and like I have some of that in me, but if I'm mostly commercial focused, then I can pass up some of that residential stuff and use the old employee to do some of that commercial stuff if I'm in a pinch.
Right.
And you can't fault your guys for wanting a better life or making more
Yeah,
money for themselves and stuff, right? But
for sure.
what do you do when their business shits the bed then?
Bring them back on?
Do you?
I don't know.
Do you?
That's a
Because
good question.
you have given them a job and all this experience and loyalty and money and all this stuff, and then they've essentially turned tail on you and
But
went to
they're
go
likely
make.
not going to try to start another business. They're likely at that point sticking with you unless they switch careers.
Is there a punishment?
Starting
If he,
back at minimum wage.
well, I don't think starting back at minimum wage, but is there some repercussion
I wouldn't
there?
personally.
I don't know.
I would probably bring that person back on. But I'm also talking in a situation where I would need an employee.
Do you ever really need anyone?
Right
Well,
now,
you need
like,
everybody,
yeah,
but
somebody
is
good.
anybody irreplaceable?
Uh,
I used
if
to
it's a
think they
good
were.
employee, yeah.
Yeah.
It depends how well they were before they left, and how good of terms they left on.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's repercussions for,
What would you do? What
I
would
don't
be the
know. I
repercussion?
don't know. I haven't had to go through it.
You know?
No.
But
I
you've
just
had an
figure it's
employee
not.
that has come back to you. Was there a repercussion to that employee leaving and then coming back?
No, he left, and he isn't back yet, right? Like he's only coming back this spring. But
Oh, okay.
I
No,
don't.
like Brandini.
Oh, Randy, yeah, he's sort of a fuck around. But anyway, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
The guy like Brandini, right? Like he went away and he's gone, but will he? Is he gone still? Is he gone? I don't know. He could come back next year, you know?
And you'd bring
I
him
could
back?
get I could get a text message and Brandine says, "Hey, I'm looking for work." Like, okay, sure. We got a couple weeks of work for you, and I'd take him back. But I know going in that one day Brandini's just not going to be there. You know, that's as long as you have that expectation in your head that the guy isn't permanent. It's not like this time's going to be different, you know? This time the stripper likes me. It doesn't happen like that, you know? As long as you know what you're getting into,
Yeah.
then it doesn't hurt as much whenever you get burned at the end. I don't know. But PK, what do you think? Would there be if you had a guy work for you, hey, can you hear me?
I can.
If you had a guy work for you for years, then he went off, started his own company, it shit the bed, and he came back to you, would there be repercussions for him coming back? Or would you embrace him with open arms?
Uh, I think if someone's gone to try something to make their life better and it didn't work out, I don't think they should be punished for that.
I think they should. Not a huge punishment. You're not going to like lash them. You're
Kiss
not
the
tying
ring.
them to the. Yeah, like you're not assaulting this guy. Like he's not getting a beat down to come back into the company or something, right? Like, but I think
I don't, a long time ago, I just decided that if someone wants to make themselves and their lives better and they believe that there's a path that they should follow and then it doesn't work out and they call me, I've just always welcomed them back because
that's not to say they're not welcome back,
I don't, what
but I think
repercussions are
something a
you
little
talking?
more
Like
than I
if
told
you're
you
not,
so.
I would never say that to someone.
I would.
I wouldn't.
It's not, I would tell them it's not as easy as you thought, right? I told you so.
I know, but what does that accomplish?
Well, you're
I
right.
mean, it makes you feel good about yourself. But a long time ago, I decided to try as hard as I could to not make myself feel good by making other people feel bad.
Well, you're not making them feel bad. You're
You are.
standing.
When you say to him, "I told you so. It's way harder than you thought. You shouldn't have done that." That's making someone feel bad to make yourself feel better and more powerful. That's the
No,
truth.
that's making them look
That
inside themselves.
It's not.
Like maybe he was right.
that's one of the
Maybe
rules
he's
of
not such a bad
48
person.
The guy,
laws of power.
the guy fucking knows that you were right. You don't need to tell him. He's aware when he called you to get his job back that you were right and he fucked
Maybe
up.
that is the repercussion. Maybe that's all it takes. But something has to be said
Why?
because
So you feel better about yourself?
I feel great about myself every day.
If you felt great about yourself every day, you wouldn't need to point out to people how you're right and they're wrong because you would have enough self-confidence to just believe that you're right and you don't need to go around telling everyone you're right.
Sometimes you like to show it. And there's nothing
Sometimes
wrong with that.
then sometimes you're not happy with yourself. I I personally just try not to operate that way. But that I obviously everyone has to operate their life the way they want. I spent a lot of my life making other people feel really, really shitty about themselves so that I felt better about myself. And I just stopped doing it. I tried to stop doing it. It's a bad habit. And if you get me mad and we're arguing and I'm really angry, I can make anyone feel really shitty about themselves in about 30 seconds. It's probably my greatest skill to cut people down and make them feel fucking humiliated and terrible about themselves. It's probably the thing I'm best at in life.
Try me.
But
Try me.
I don't, I'm good. I, don't- I just don't like if someone, I've had lots of people leave and come back. Not necessarily to start their own gig, not always, but I've had lots of people leave and come back in my life. And Andrew, who's driving our triaxle now, he got his AZ, he went and long hauled, he drove concrete truck, he ended up, he drove forms around, he drove a form truck, then he went and was a mechanic for CN. And then when all of that didn't work out, he ended up coming back like 10 years later to work with us. And I'm just thankful he's back. I don't
Yeah, but
need
he
to
tried
tell,
a bunch of different things. He didn't
I don't
leave to
need to,
go
I
start a
don't need,
landscape company. That
I
shit the
don't
bed.
I don't need to tell him that I was fucking right. You should have just stayed here. I like I don't know. I just
No, he was doing a life tour of different
if
things.
you're gonna if you're
He didn't leave to
here,
do the exact same thing that he was doing now, just with less equipment.
I'm saying if you if you have that guy back, if he comes back, and the beginning of his comeback is you telling him how wrong he was and how great you are that relationship is not going to be positive for the rest of
I
the
have
time he
never
works for
once
you.
told anybody how great I am, ever.
But that's what you're saying. I was right, you were wrong. That's saying I'm great, you're not. You know how hard it is to do this? You know how fucking hard it is to do this? Now you fucking learned how hard it is to do it. I can do it because I'm fucking great, motherfucker. Look at me, how awesome I am. I'm doing it and you couldn't. And now you fucking know. And I taught you a little lesson. So now you can come back, get on your fucking knees and beg for your fucking job and make me feel good about my fucking self because I pointed out to you how I'm so good and I can get this shit done and you can't. Like that's essentially how you're starting a relationship with someone
You,
coming back to your company.
you said it in
Instead,
a
you could
lot
just
more words.
instead all you need to do is shake the guy's hand and say, "I'm really fucking happy to have you back, man. You were an important part of the company before. We're happy to have you back again." And then you just move forward with your company. Except that you don't get to feel good about yourself by saying, "I was right and you were wrong." But when I was your age, I probably would have said, I'm right, you're wrong. See how that fucking worked out for you, you stupid fuck? Listen to me next time. When I was your age. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't have done it at my current age. I would never speak to, I would make every attempt in my life to not speak to someone like that. But
I have never yelled at an employee in
oh,
my
I've
life.
screamed at people and made them feel horrible about themselves, like torn them down to nothing many times.
So if I've
I'm not
never
a good
yelled at an
person.
employee once in my life, if I've never done that, and you leave to start your own company that shits the bed, doesn't work out, you want to come back, the least you can get is some passive aggressiveness
Yeah, but
whenever
then
I welcome you back.
why have that person back if that's how you're going to treat them? Why not just say, listen, man,
Because it's a mutually beneficial relationship,
but
right?
why
They're
not
getting
just
a paycheck because they couldn't earn one on their own.
okay? And
And
that's
I'm giving
probably
work
a,
done.
but I'm saying it's probably something that I don't know. I just think that starting a relationship, restarting a new relationship that's, as you just said, mutually beneficial to both parties, but drilling home how useless that person is and how great you are and how they made this huge mistake and how it's really hard and they can't get it done because it's hard. But look at me, I get it done every fucking goddamn day. You wish you were as good as me, bitch. Now go lay some papers and make me some fucking money because this is a mutually beneficial relationship and I'll make sure you have a fucking paycheck, bitch. That doesn't seem like a positive way to start it to me.
But there are lots of different ways to run a business. You've told us before that you you worked around a business owner or something who would always tell the guys, go make me some fucking
Oh
money.
yeah, he was. He's a dick, and he made a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not. You asked me if if I would be repercussions. I'm not judging you because there's repercussions. I'm telling you why I wouldn't do it.
I'm not saying there's aggressive repercussions. I'm saying
Telling someone you were wrong and I'm great is an aggressive repercussion.
I don't think so.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah,
It's
there you
passive
go.
aggressive. And that's fine. Because you have to consider there's also a history with you and that employee, right?
Yeah, I have history. Lots of employees.
Yeah. So the way you talk to them has to take into account your history with them.
I agree with that.
They were
I
coming from a place where they were uh, beneath you on the hierarchy of the company, right? And they left because they wanted to be an equal to you as a business owner. And now you have to tuck them back into their space in the company.
I
Not
think
as a
that
person, not on a personal level. You're not better than them as a person, but in the company, there's a hierarchy,
so. This
and
is
you got
what
to
I
put
would.
them back in
This
their
is what
little bed.
I would say about this from personal experience. I left to start a company
Yep.
from Ridge Lake. I left to start a company. I worked at that company And then my life went for shit all around me. Not the company, my whole life went for shit all around me. And when I needed my when I when I made a decision that it was better for my kid that I close the company down and focus on her and focus on I did it was too time consuming. I needed more time with her. When I went back, as much as I have had a rocky road with the guy who owned that company, he never once in that moment said that to me. That now a year later or 2 years later, he might have pointed out to me a lot that I'm a good number two and not a good number one. Which I
I'm not
think
saying your first day back, you got to say, hey, you know what? You really fucked up. You're a piece of shit. Come back and take your job for the same amount of money I was paying you.
what day do you say it on? Day three? Like when do you schedule a
Which day did he say
conversation
it to
about
you?
When they mess up?
I'm not saying he
Maybe it's in your back pocket.
It's
I
uh
don't know.
I think I think he believed when he was saying to me, you're a good number two, not a good number one. He was trying to say, give me life advice in a good way, not in a condescending way. He was saying, hey, like you're really, really good at being number two, and that's okay. Not everyone is suited to be number one. And being really, really good at number two is okay. And you can have a fulfilling and satisfying life being number two. And there's millions of people that are number two and like
I don't
super
think
happy.
that's an insult. I don't necessarily think I'm good at being a number one. I get by.
I'm not good at it.
So is it really a put down if I don't even think I'm good at my job?
Well,
Obviously, I'm better than the guy
I
whose
think if you,
business failed, but
I think if you let into it and said, "Hey, I'm not good at my job, but you're really not good at it." Like I like what would be the thing I don't understand. Like, so you're saying that I
this
need to
is
have
fucking great conversation, by the way.
yeah.
This is
what?
something no other podcast would ever get into,
No,
ever.
what you're saying to me, what you just said is this guy left to try and become my equal. He saw what I have in life, the Mercedes, the $150,000 King Ranch, the hot tub, viewing the yard. He saw what I had in life and he said, I want a piece of that. I want to try and live the life Chad's living. So he went out and he tried on his own to live the life Chad's living, get the Mercedes, get the King Ranch, get the neck tattoos. Like he really wanted to live the life
That's probably a step in the wrong direction, getting the
the
next
chat.
tattoo.
You know, if you're going to live the chat. And so he went out there to try it. And more than likely, he went out there to try it. And now he's coming back. And essentially, what you were saying earlier was, I need to tell this guy I was right and he was wrong because he needs to know his place in the company again. I would venture to say to you, he went out on a limb. He put himself out there. It obviously did not go well for maybe it was bad timing, the tariffs, the pandemic. Maybe he didn't want to work 100 hours a week to get the thing going. Who knows why it didn't go well? Maybe you have more insight. But you're saying, I need to put this guy back in his place underneath me. I think when he called you and said, hey, I need my job back, he put himself back in his place underneath you. You don't need to do it. He's already done it himself.
But I'm still going to cement it in there a little bit somehow. On the first
Great.
day, I'm going to do something. There's still going to be something.
Why?
When you go to a therapist and they tell you to say what you mean and say your feelings and all this shit.
Then you shouldn't have had him back.
Well, he needed me.
But taking a self-serving, this whole thing is just self-serving to the greater glory of Chad. It's all just, how can we build the greater glory of Chad at the sacrifice of this man's mental health? How can we beat this fucker down further?
You're omitting the whole part where I treat the guys well while they're here. I bend over backwards for the guys.
In your mind, maybe not in theirs.
Well, then don't come to work. Find someone who treats you better then. What do you want me to do?
I'm not, maybe they think you treat them average, and they're happy with that because they know that wherever they go, they're going to get treated about the same as you treat them.
So they're 100% happy with how they are treated and the wages that they're making. And why do they want to start their own company?
No one is ever 100% happy about anything.
Correct. Yeah.
There's no one is ever 100% happy about fucking anything.
So
So
you just want
to
to keep
say,
them happy enough?
I don't know. I This is off topic to beating down a man's personal ego to make yourself feel better, which was the original point of the conversation.
Not beating it down. I'm poking
Remind,
pinholes in it.
reminding, are you reminding him of his uselessness so that he stays for you longer?
No, I don't think that's good for his self-esteem. And
So how many times do you have to say it? Like, I don't,
you just have to say it once. I'm not saying you have them wake up every morning and recite an oath to the company.
we're talking about this one specific guy. Everyone should recite an oath to the company every fucking day.
It's an SOP.
That's an SOP. Absolutely.
Company.
It's a fucking goddamn SOP if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
Recite an oath to the greater glory of Chad.
No, not me in particular. The company.
Well, you are the company.
No, we're all the company.
You
You're
are the
letting us
company.
all down when you decided to leave to make your own company.
When he called you and asked for his job back, that would have been an appropriate time to say, hey, why should I have you back when you let us all down and chose to leave? And then he says, I was trying to get a Mercedes for my wife and have a better life with my children. And you say, well, your job is to make sure I have a good life with
No.
my wife,
No.
my wife and her Mercedes and my hot tub.
If they're
That's
gonna go down
that's
that
your
route, I'm gonna say you don't have a Mercedes type wife. You have more of a Honda type
good
wife.
God.
You know, if we're gonna get into that, maybe you should consider a Kia for your wife. You know,
How can,
I'm just fucking around, guys. I would never say that to someone.
how can I possibly make this person feel worse than they already do? I'm just saying, being someone who needed someone to give me a break and just have me back without making it all about how I had fucked up everything at that point in my life was something I really needed, and it helped me move my life forward. I just needed someone to just give me a fucking break in that moment because I had fallen down the stairs a lot of fucking times. And I just thinking in myself, obviously I relate to the position that that guy's in. And I remember how I got treated and how much I appreciated it. And no one said, you're a total fuck up. You let us all down by leaving. And now you're back, you stupid fucking moron. And I just saying, I guess I really, in this whole story, you relate to being you, the boss.
Yeah.
And I relate to the guy who needs to come back. Because I would never relate to being the boss because I fucking hate it. And I never think of myself like that. I never think of myself as being in charge or being the boss, or it makes me uncomfortable. Like, we've been getting our trucks certified at this new shop, and I've never been there because Cody has taken all the trucks there and Andrew's taken trucks there, and all the pickups and the trailers, the little trailers, are getting certified at one place. So my truck was the last pickup to get certified. So I took it there and I met the guy and I told him what I wanted done to the truck. And at no point in the entire conversation did I feel the need to tell him that I was the owner of the company. I preferred for him to believe that I was just a person that worked at the company. But I don't think that's the behavior of most people that own companies. They would have been, hey, bro, I'm the one that owns the company. I'm the one that's literally given you $12,000 in the last week for certifying all my junk. And would want to, I don't, but for me, I am very happy to pretend that I don't own anything. And I don't want, if no one ever knew that I owned a Paver King, that would be the happiest day of my life.
No one ever thinks I own natural design, ever. If I'm working alongside
Maybe that's why you need to, maybe that's why you need to tell this guy that you were right and he was wrong and it's harder than you thought. I don't, I'm just joking.
Maybe. I don't know, but like I won't They'll go up and ask every single guy on site before me. We had Justin. He was this bald-headed guy, big beard, chubby. People would go up to him and start asking him questions like he was the boss. He's like, and he was, Justin's a great guy, but he is not the sharpest one on site.
Did you tell him that every day?
Oh, he knew it.
I know, but did you tell him particularly say, hey, do you know how much smarter than I am than you? Remember it, bro.
No, no, I never had to.
Maybe you should have.
No,
Maybe
because
you
he
would
knew.
feel better about yourself.
Great. No, wouldn't feel better about myself. But uh, they would ask him questions and
This
he
is
could just point at me. Oh, he'd point at me.
not our finest hour version of Leanscaper. How to treat your employees like total garbage. Make yourself feel better about yourself. Hey, bro, you're not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but people think you're in charge, but you never will be. Remember that.
Hey,
I'm always
fine.
being.
Ask him the questions. But whenever you're getting the wrong answer, don't come to me.
Don't come to me. This is a great conversation. God.
Nobody would ever. You're not gonna find this on the Kid Contractor podcast.
Probably not. No. I don't know. I think that as I got older, I spent a good portion of my life managing through intimidation and fear. Because when you're really young, like I was really young, and you get put in charge of a bunch of people, that's the default, right? Like for me, it was. I just defaulted to being
Well,
really,
that's the way all the old guys used to do it, right? There was no other way.
yeah, it was just
The old guys fucking yelled and intimidated you and called you pieces of shit and everything, and that's all there was. That's all we had to learn from.
so
That's how you learn to be a boss.
that's how I managed people from the beginning. Was I just through fear and intimidation and being really mean to them and keeping them on their toes, hoping that they wouldn't be the next person I was mean to. But I also think it was a pretty shitty existence.
So I don't know what's worse, treating people like shit every day or telling them one time, I knew you'd be back, I knew you couldn't do it. What's worse? One's not better than the other.
Uh, if it was me, I think I'd rather have someone be mean to me every day than
Every day? No.
tell me how right I was, how
People
right they
quit
were.
because they've been beaten out emotionally every day. People don't quit because you say, I knew you couldn't do it. I knew you'd be back.
I would be more likely to quit if you said that to me because I'd be like, fuck this guy. I'm going to go do it again and prove him wrong. Fucker.
Were there
Okay.
any repercussions to you going back, PK? Back to Ridge Lake? Like, did you start at the same wage or anything? Because this is how this conversation started. That Chad said that there should be some sort of repercussion.
I'm not
So
saying something.
I went back at the same wage,
Wow.
except that I wasn't in charge of anything. I guess the self-imposed repercussion for me was I told him I wanted to be at the bottom of the food chain. I didn't want to be in charge of anyone. I didn't want anyone because there was a bunch of new people. There was some older people that had worked with me in the past, and then there was a whole bunch of new people there that had never worked with me. So I was like, they don't need to know what I'm all about. They don't need to. And I started off picking up bricks and cleaning them and stacking them on skids.
So you did it to yourself. You gave yourself the punishment. You know, whenever you're mad at a dog and you say, hey, and the dog goes straight to its kennel and lays down, that's what you did.
I've never had a kennel for a dog, so I don't know.
Why I have my dog.
That seems mean and inhuman.
Oh, you know the dog shit on the floor or something? Said, hey, and the dog knows it did wrong, went to go sit in the kennel. You put yourself in the timeout whenever you came back. And then when you were done your timeout, you came out and it was all good.
It took 3 weeks and then I was really annoyed. So I just got up and said, okay, we're fucking done with this. I'm in charge again.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. Well, again, that wasn't imposed by someone else. It was me imposing shittiness on myself. There's a
But if
big
you
difference
didn't do it
between
to yourself, maybe he would have said something.
he wasn't that kind of person. So
Well, he's obviously the type of person that says you're a good number two, but not a number one. Remember it.
but I also think that that was accurate and truthful.
So why
I'm
wouldn't it be accurate if I said that to a worker?
That's not what you're saying. You're saying I told you so.
No, it is. I'm telling you, I don't know what I'd say. There would just be some repercussion. I'm not going to say you're a piece of shit. You never can make it on your own. Now you're stuck here for life.
You said to me, you just said I want to say to him, I knew you'd never make it on your own.
No,
That's
I
what
don't
you
think I
said like
said that.
5 minutes. 5 minutes ago, you said something to
Maybe,
that
yeah, maybe I did. I don't know. I can't
something to
remember.
that reference where you were like, I'm gonna tell that guy I knew he'd never make it. I'm like, that seems kind of horrible.
No, it would probably
Are,
be along the lines
are you
is,
mad at the guy
um,
for trying to make himself a
no,
better life?
absolutely not. No, no. The guy
So,
deserves, and before you came on, I'm like, you can't fault the guy for wanting the best life he could possibly get.
but you knew it wouldn't work out. Did you tell him when he was leaving, you're not capable of this?
First off, this hasn't happened to me.
This was
This
hypothetical.
is, this is
Oh, I
hypothetical.
thought this was
No.
real.
No.
I thought this was a real thing.
We've been going at this for 45 minutes now. No,
Yeah.
it's not real.
I wasn't part of the conversation when it started. This whole time, I thought this was all a real thing.
No.
Does it feel a little less emotional now?
No, it's still a great topic. I still think it's relevant. I think there's this season in particular, there's going to be a lot of people who left to try and better their lives and then have realized that it wasn't for them. The work's not flowing the way it used to. There's a lot more time and effort involved in booking work and there used to be. And I think it's a lot harder to run a company in the current economical climate than it was 3 years ago when a lot of people quit companies to start a company. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to get good experienced people back that have maybe worked for them in the past. I think it's a great topic conversation.
11 episode.
Guys, you know,
There's going to be a little walk of shame. They're going to have to come, and in all likelihood, it would only come from the boss, likely. I think all the other guys would be more than happy to have the person back. I would be happy too, right? But I'm still going to poke at them a bit. Not in a malicious way, just like, hey,
I'm
I
going
want
to
to,
tell you you're useless in a non-malicious
oh,
way.
you're having an imaginary conversation about what I'd say to the guy, and you're making it worse than it would be coming
Would
out
you
of my
say it
mouth.
would you make a point to say it in front of all the other people?
No, no, no,
Ooh.
no.
This is
I
just a
would not.
private. So
Because in your head, it would be in front of everybody
this
over a
little
fucking megaphone on the back of the
this,
truck.
this I think, and this is my opinion, saying it in front of everybody is less hurtful than saying it one on one. Because when you're saying it one on one, you're doing it solely for your personal gratification. When you say it in front of everybody, you can argue that you're giving a warning to everybody that it's hard out there. And don't any of you other motherfuckers think about leaving and starting your own thing because look at this guy. When you say it on a personal level, one on one, for your own self gratification and to particularly make that person feel bad for no reason other than to make them feel bad, I think it's worse to say it one on one.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get
Fire
them
someone
all
and tell
like,
them to start their own
no, no,
company.
I'm going to get them all little keychains or something, and on it, I'm going to inscribe, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours to keep. And I'm just going to give that to each one of them so that they fucking know. You know, like, no, if
I own you, bitch.
no, not the way I ever intended it. It, in all likelihood, the conversation would probably go something like, you're driving with the guy who just came back, going to show him a job or whatever. Okay, so how was it on your own? know it was good, and then the next thing out of your mouth is not as easy as you thought, eh? There's a lot of fucking things you don't have to consider, or a lot of things you had to consider that you didn't have to consider before. And
That's
that's
a
it.
fair, but
That's it.
but
That's
that's
it.
a fair conversation. That's
That's
in the midst of a conversation saying it's a lot harder than everyone thinks, man. Don't worry about it. It's a tough go.
and that's what it always was in my head. And you took it and made some giant fucking
I didn't
malicious
know.
idea out of it.
That's how it came across when I jumped back into the conversation. That's how you guys were
We set you up.
that's how you guys were framing the interaction. Chad wants to feel good about himself by making someone else feel bad. That's how you guys frame the interaction. So I just took it as that.
Well,
It was mostly Mike's input.
I haven't said much to speaking on back. You guys have taken this away really well.
Would you hire someone back, Mike? What was your
Yes,
opinion on
that's
this?
what I said. And then Chad said, "Well, there has to be a repercussion." And I said, "Like what? Start setting them up with minimum wage or something?" And then that's where this snowball built up.
Uh, so I guess when I went back, when I left there, I had a company truck pickup, and when I went back, I didn't. I drove my own pickup,
Mhm.
but he still paid for the fuel. But I didn't have a company truck in particular.
Mhm.
But he was still paying for the fuel in the truck that I had. So I think that's a thing.